Alex, is the Job Guide 360 interview guide worth it?
Honestly, yes, the guide is highly insightful. I recommend it to everyone.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping on our visual thinking caps.
We're diving into a stack of source material that really cuts right to the chase.
Exactly. It's all about what high-growth employers are actually asking visual designers these days.
And, this isn't just about looking at a portfolio or asking, which font do you like better? No.
Right.
We're using this collection of interview questions and the kind of strategic, high-value answers they're looking for almost as a shortcut.
A shortcut to what, exactly?
Well, our mission here is to help you move past judging design just on aesthetics.
Okay.
And instead uncover the foundational processes, the business thinking, the collaborative skills that really define success in this field today.
So if you're maybe prepping for an interview yourself, or hiring someone, or even just really curious about what separates a great visual designer from a merely good one,
then this is your blueprint.
Yeah. We're going straight to the why behind the questions. So let's jump in. That first core demand, asking a visual designer to walk through their end-to-end process. What are employers really trying to find out there?
They're looking for structure, for foresight. They don't just want a list of steps like, first I do this, then I do that.
Yeah.
They want a blueprint that shows you start, not by, pushing pixels around,
Right.
but by clarifying the goals, the audience, the success metrics. You absolutely have to define what success looks like first.
And that emphasis on the pre-work seems huge.
Yeah.
The sources really stress getting that alignment early on.
Oh, absolutely. The process needs to flow from that initial brief into things like mood boards, quick explorations.
Before you get the high fidelity concept?
Exactly. It's all about de-risking the project, really. You get that crucial stakeholder buy-in on the overall feeling, the direction, before you sink serious hours into the details.
And then the final steps. They seem critical for showing the designer gets how their work impacts others downstream.
Yeah, the finalization. It's got to involve clean files, specs, a solid rationale. But the sources also emphasize delivering componentized assets. That's key.
Okay, componentized assets. What does that signal? Why is that specific phrase important?
It signals systems thinking. It means the final design isn't just some static picture.
Right.
It's broken down into reusable pieces, buttons, cards, headers, stuff that engineering can just grab and implement efficiently.
Ah, so it saves time for everyone involved.
Huge time saver. For design, for dev, yeah.
Okay, that structure makes sense. And it seems like it applies just as much when we shift from general process to core strategy like brand identity.
Definitely. Creating or refreshing a brand is like one of the highest leverage things a visual designer can do.
So what's the high value approach there, according to the sources?
It's kind of like being a detective mixed with a diplomat.
Okay.
The approach has to involve auditing competitors, really understanding the landscape, and then running collaborative workshops to nail down those core brand attributes together.
So it's not just the designer presenting a logo in isolation.
In a way, they need to present a solution that's grounded in market context, strategic context.
And the payoff can be tangible. The sources mentioned this one example, a brand refresh that led to a measurable, what was it? An 18% rise in site conversions.
Yeah, and improved sales close rates too.
That is not a soft metric at all.
It really isn't. And when you see a number like 18%, it tells you something important.
What's that?
It tells you the designer successfully connected the aesthetic choices, the typography, the color, the layout, directly to a business goal.
And that strategic thinking goes all the way down, even to the micro level choices.
All the way, like choosing typography and color. How do you make those choices strategic, not just subjective?
Yeah, how do you avoid just picking what looks nice?
They have to be tied directly back to those brand traits you agreed on. So if a core attribute is, say, approachable, that might translate directly into maybe a warmer color palette, more generous spacing, perhaps a humanist sans serif font for that feeling of familiarity. The choice should never feel arbitrary.
I see. And there's this crucial balance mentioned, too, between aesthetics and function, like ensuring AA or AAA contrast for accessibility.
Absolutely critical.
While also defining what the sources call semantic color rules. Can you unpack that phrase a bit? Semantic color rules.
Sure. It basically means colors are defined by their job, by their function, not just their hue.
Okay.
So you don't just have blue and green. You define a primary action color, a success color, an error color.
So it creates consistency.
Exactly. It ensures consistent usage across the entire product, the whole experience. Even if the specific brand palette evolves slightly later on, it's functional consistency for the user.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's pivot now. We've talked about the ideal process, the strategy, but let's move into the messy reality. Section 2, constraints and ambiguity. Because, let's face it, briefs are rarely perfect. Requirements shift.
Oh, they're never perfect. And honestly, this is often where the really great designers stand out.
How so?
Well, when requirements are ambiguous or shifting, the surprising answer isn't always just be more creative. Sometimes it's be more structured.
I like that. Structure as the antidote to ambiguity. How do you actually implement that in practice?
The sources suggest something really practical. Map all your assumptions. Put them down in a dedicated decision log.
Okay, so you're creating clarity where it doesn't exist.
Precisely. And then propose maybe a design spike.
A design spike.
Yeah, like a quick focus sprint, maybe deliver some basic wireframes, then one more polished direction based on those assumptions. It helps de-risk the bigger design effort that follows.
And to keep things moving when everything feels chaotic. The sources mention needing a strict cadence, like that example, lock copy by noon, lock layout by EOD.
Absolutely. That kind of pragmatic, time-boxed approach. You have to prioritize forward momentum over perfection in those messy situations.
Speaking of pragmatism, what about being scrappy? Let's take that scenario. Design a high-converting landing page, one day, limited assets.
Right.
How do you prioritize speed and results over perfect polish?
Right. Well, first, you lean on what works. You start by prioritizing a proven layout pattern.
Like what?
Like a really clear value prop right at the top, some social proof visible immediately, and a single, super focused call to action. Don't overcomplicate it.
And if the assets just aren't there?
You focus on speed. Forget commissioning a photo shoot. Maybe you use abstract shapes or gradients or device mock-ups for a quick hero image.
Okay.
You source compliant stock photos only if you absolutely have to. The goal here isn't winning a design award.
It's shipping and learning.
Exactly. You're designing to ship and learn.
And the sources emphasize that the launch isn't the endpoint.
Not at all. The goal isn't just get the page live. It's ship it fast and then immediately set up an A/B test.
Test what?
Maybe the headline. Or the hero image, something you can validate quickly. The launch is just the starting line for iteration.
That whole attitude seems crucial for dealing with tight deadlines too.
Definitely. Delivering under pressure means you have to be ruthless about prioritizing. Focus on the highest visibility touch points.
And cut scope elsewhere.
Consciously trim scope on all the nice-to-haves. And reuse existing components wherever possible. That dramatically speeds things up.
Like that conference launch example. They secured over 200 leads.
Right, because they focused all their limited resources only on the key conversion path. Smart prioritization.
That focus on impact brings us perfectly into Section 3, metrics and methodology. For you listening, this is arguably one of the biggest shifts in modern design.
It really is. Connecting that visual craft to genuine business outcomes.
So how does that work? How must visual designers operate today?
They have to be partners. Partners with product managers, with growth teams, whoever owns the goals.
Partners in what sense?
In defining success up front, using measurable metrics. Things like click-through rate, CTR, or overall conversion rate, time on page, maybe engagement depth.
So it's not enough for it to just look good.
Nope. If the design is beautiful, but it doesn't move those specific needles you agreed on, then, well, it hasn't fully met its business requirement.
Okay, so how do you gather the evidence? What's the methodology for measuring that impact?
It's usually a mix of pretty straightforward tactics. Running simple, focused A/B tests is huge.
Like the landing page example.
Exactly. Reviewing things like heat maps and scroll depth to see where users are actually looking and clicking, and gathering quick, qualitative user feedback too. Doesn't have to be a massive study, just enough to connect the dots.
It's about translating that designer's intuition into hard evidence.
That's a great way to put it. Evidence is key.
Especially when it comes to handoffs, right?
Yeah.
Getting that work over to engineering smoothly. What are the key collaboration techniques there?
Yeah, translating beautiful visuals into shipped product. It really requires deep alignment early on, talking about technical constraints before you design.
Right.
Designing within the established system, using the design tokens, adhering to things like the 8-point grid.
And documentation.
Crucially, yeah. Annotating tricky interactions or complex states directly in Figma so there's zero ambiguity for the developers.
Figma really does sound like the central hub for systems and collaboration, as the sources describe it.
It often is for UI work. But it's also important to remember tool choice depends on the output you need.
Right. It's not just Figma.
Now, Figma's the source of truth for the UI components, sure. But if you need crisp vector illustrations, you're probably in Illustrator,
The motion.
After Effects, most likely. But then you need to make sure you're exporting that motion in web-friendly formats. You choose the tool that delivers the required output most efficiently for the final user experience.
Makes sense. And one final piece of collaboration, conflict.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. You're going to get conflicting stakeholder feedback. How do you handle that productively?
Yeah, that's a tough one. The key strategy seems to be step back from just arguing about taste and reframe the whole conversation around data and objectives. You synthesize that conflicting feedback, group it into criteria, but tie those criteria back to the agreed project objectives and the user needs.
So you take the personal preference element out of it?
Exactly. It stops being about, I like blue versus I like green.
I've seen designers handle this well by presenting, say, two distinct options, like an option A and an option B.
Yeah.
And they clearly outline the trade-offs for each based on those objectives. Then they recommend one, grounding that recommendation in data or the user goals.
That's a very smart approach. It shifts the focus. It becomes less about my favorite and more about which solution actually solves the user's problem best.
It's almost a facilitation skill as much as a design skill.
It really is. And that kind of strategic thinking leads us nicely into our final area, section 4, scaling the work and shaping the culture.
Right, like when is the right time for an early stage startup to introduce a design system? Is it too soon? Or is it essential from the get-go?
Well, the consensus from the sources seems pretty clear on this.
Yeah.
A lightweight system is essential, even early on. It's actually a massive time saver, reduces decision fatigue across the board.
So you don't need a huge, complex system on day one.
Definitely not. Start minimal. Define a basic token set colors, spacing, nail down the typography scale, build just a few core components like buttons, inputs, maybe cards.
And then let it grow.
Let it evolve naturally as clear, stable design patterns emerge from the actual product work. Build the foundation first, not the entire mansion.
And as a team and product scales accessibility, it can't be an afterthought, right?
Absolutely not. It has to be baked in.
So what are the practical ongoing checks designers need to be doing?
It means designing with WSTA guidelines in mind from the start. So constantly checking color contrast, setting minimum sizes for tap targets and fonts, ensuring clear focus states for keyboard navigation.
And using those semantic color rules we talked about helps here too.
Big time. Because if your error color is defined functionally and you've checked its contrast, then accessibility is built in, not something you try to patch on awkwardly at the end.
Okay. Now, how do designers stay current and maintain quality without just, blindly chasing every new visual trend that pops up on Dribbble or social media?
Yeah, that's a balancing act. The key is to stress test those trends.
Stress test them how?
Filter every new visual idea against your established brand attributes and, crucially, against fundamental usability standards. Does this gradient actually make things clearer? Does this animation really improve the flow?
So only adopt trends if they genuinely add value.
Pretty much. Only adopt trends that enhance clarity or efficiency or maybe conversion. And even then, pilot them first. Try them out in low-risk experiments to see if they actually resonate with your audience. Discretion is vital.
That focus on prioritized impact feels like a really good summary of this whole deep dive. Maybe we can use that 30, 60, 90-day plan for a new visual designer as a final framework for you listening.
Yeah, that's a great way to start it. So the first 30 days, it's all about immersion and getting some quick, visible wins on the board. Like auditing existing assets, really aligning intensely on the current goals, and maybe shipping one or two high-impact pieces, like refreshing the hero section on a key landing page, something tangible.
Okay, then by 60 days.
You start building the foundation, establishing that lightweight style guide we talked about, creating templates for key channels, and really improving the structure and cleanliness of the Figma library, making it usable.
And then by 90 days, the focus shifts again.
Yeah, by 90 days, you're moving towards measurement and planning. You're refining the system based on actual performance data you're seeing. And you're starting to roadmap bigger, more strategic bets.
Like a major site revamp or developing a formal motion language for the brand.
Exactly. Bigger picture thinking.
What really stands out from all this is that modern visual design, it's a seriously demanding hybrid role.
It really is.
You need that strategic thinking, you need to demonstrate measurable impact, and you need intense adaptability under pressure. It's like you're part craftsperson, part strategist, part data analyst.
all rolled into one. Absolutely. And, if we connect that strategic outlook to the even bigger picture, it leads us to our final provocative thought for today.
Okay.
The true measure of a great designer isn't just how successful their absolute best work was. It might actually be how they respond when things don't work, how they respond to failure.
So focusing on the analysis, the learning,
Yeah.
not just the mistake itself.
Precisely. Think about that common interview question. Tell me about a time a design didn't perform as expected.
Right.
The really high-value answer, the one cited in these sources, isn't about making excuses or shrugging it off. It's about demonstrating curiosity and analysis.
So the designer says what?
Maybe something like,
Yeah.
the designer dug into the heat maps for a campaign visual that had a really low click-through rate. They realized, the contrast on the main call to action button was actually pretty poor against that background.
Okay, identify the problem.
Identify the likely problem, yeah. And then immediately tested new variants with better contrast. And what happened next? They saw, say, a 30% lift in CTR on the very next run.
That's the real takeaway then. Failure isn't final. It's just data.
It's just a data point, prompting the next, hopefully more successful iteration. You're never really done just because the design looks good on your screen.
Go deep. Look at those heat maps. Iterate based on the data.
Exactly. And we'll catch you on the next deep dive.